Welcome to the Double R Show, the podcast that features everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, directed and produced by Paul Robertson and hosted by the voice of Lincoln City, Roger Robertson.
And thank you, Jana. Welcome to the Double R Show. Double R here, along with son Paul, and it's going to be an interesting program from a historical perspective today.
Yeah, we're going to take a look back in time. 1963, November 22nd. And the time?
12:30 p.m.
12:30 p.m.
And it is a date and time that will live in my heart, in my mind forever. And Dr. Jay Cox is here to talk about that. And Heather Hatton is coming in to talk about all of the activities for December at Chinook Winds Casino Resort.
And there are a lot.
Including the Angel Ball. And we'll talk more about that right after this.
Saturday, December 7th, it's a rock and roll rewind as Chinook Winds presents for one show only, the legendary Chubby Checker.
Come on, baby. Let's do that twist. Come on, let's twist again.
Tickets start at $45. Call 888-MAIN-ACT in person at the Chinook Winds box office or at ChinookWinds.com. Chubby Checker, December 7th at Chinook Winds, where concerts are better at the beach.
There's a number of dates that reflect American history. I think of Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, and on and on and on. But there is one that most Americans of my age and older know exactly where they were standing when they heard the news that JFK had been shot. We're talking about November 22nd, 1963, 12:30 p.m. And a gentleman is with us that knows more than anybody probably on the story of JFK. Dr. Jay Cox is here. And welcome, Doc.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Roger.
We've heard the story of the assassination of JFK over and over and over and over. Your take on what happened on that day?
Well, my part in that was I was the officer of the day at Bethesda Naval Hospital. And I got the news when I was in surgery that afternoon. And I just gotten out and I called my wife and she told me that the Kennedy had just been assassinated. And so I asked if she's coming over to join me for supper. It was my first time I was going to be the officer of the day. That meant at 5 o'clock, the hospital was mine. I was the commanding officer of the hospital. And about 5:30, she was with me in the cafeteria. Corpsman on duty at the front desk came running down, said, Dr. Cox, they're bringing the president's body back to Bethesda for autopsy. And the way that came about was that on the airplane, Jackie Kennedy was sitting with a coffin the whole way back. Admiral Berkeley, the president's physician, went to her and told her that we had to have an autopsy done. He suggested the Walter Reed Army Hospital or the Bethesda Navy Hospital or any civilian hospital in Washington. But Jackie decided that because he was a Navy man, that she wanted done at the Bethesda Naval Hospital. So it was my duty at that moment to alert everybody, to alert the pathologist, the commanding officer, the surgeon general. And pretty soon, a lot of it was out of my hands. But being an officer of the day, I had full run of the hospital that night and was able to be in the autopsy room and observe the autopsy. And from that, I learned how conspiracies got started and how what precipitated.
How the conspiracies on the assassination, or if there was X number of shooters, or all of the above?
All of it. What I did is I became sort of a student of it in the sense that I could understand, put my parts of it together, and then it started to make sense. For instance, there was no communication between Parkland Hospital and Bethesda Naval Hospital.
Parkland Hospital is in...
That was the hospital in Dallas.
Right.
Where he was taken immediately. The people there, the doctors, all noticed the wound in the front of the neck. They thought that was the entrance wound. That's how it got started. They did not know that they had done a tracheostomy in Bethesda over the exit wound. So theoretically, they found in Bethesda, we found a little hole in the back. But
In the back of the neck.
Back of the neck.
All right.
But we could not find an exit wound. So I, along with Jack Eversole, the radiologist, we took x-rays from head to toe, ran them up to the radiology department, and we were looking for the bullet that night. And then word came from Texas that, they found a bullet on the stretcher. So the autopsy doctor said, well, that's it. It must have fallen out when they were trying to save his life. No, the bullet was found on Connolly's stretcher, which we found out later, you see. And so it wasn't until the next day that they actually communicated. Jim Humes was the chief pathologist, communicated with the doctors in Parkland, and heard about this wound in the front of his neck. They did not know it at the time of the autopsy that night.
But you then had all of the photos and the like to go back on then.
Yes, there were something like 57 photographs taken that night, and at least 24 x-rays. And so then you could put it all together. They did probe the wound that night, but they didn't completely dissect all the way to the front because they didn't know what they were looking for.
Bottom line is Kennedy had been shot from the back, exit wound coming out the throat.
Right. And
One?
he'd been hit twice. He also got hit right in the back of the head at the occiput, right in the back, and it blew out the right side of the skull. And so the doctors at Parkland again thought that he was hit from the front, both the wound in the neck and the wound in the head, because they never examined him. They were trying to save his life, so they didn't turn him over and examine the wounds in Parkland. And the doctor that was the anesthesiologist was right up against the head. He says he knows that they did not get a chance to examine him because they were doing cut downs and all kinds of attempts to get fluids in. They did not do a open heart massage because Jackie Kennedy wouldn't leave the emergency room, and she was right there with him the whole time.
It had been straining at the least on you and everybody else around you.
Yes, it was a real shock. And at that time, Kennedy went to Texas against his advice of some of his colleagues because he was in trouble with the election coming up the next year. And Lyndon Johnson talked him into coming down there, but he didn't want to be in Dallas. So
we're talking about November 22nd, 1963, 12:30 p.m., the assassination of JFK. With us is Dr. Jay Cox. We'll take a break and be back in just a moment.
Wouldn't it be great to have all your insurance needs handled by one agency? This is Charlotte Lado with Farmers Insurance and the Insurance Store. Visit our office next to the Wildflower Grill in Lincoln City. Let us be your one stop for your personal, commercial, health, and Medicare insurance needs.
Northwest Septic Service is your one-stop shop for all your septic needs.
Northwest Septic Service offers pumping, maintenance, repair, and inspections with one call, 541-994-6977.
Buying or selling a home? Northwest Septic Service can inspect your sewer line or an entire septic system.
Old or failing septic system? Northwest Septic Service can rejuvenate most drain fields, saving you thousands of dollars. 541-994-6977.
Serving Lincoln, Tillamook, and Yamhill counties, Northwest Septic Service.
We may be young, but we are experienced. Hi, Adina Zeller here, and Zeller's restaurants are now a year old, but the experience in preparing and serving food goes way back generations. Zeller's Lincoln City and Rose Lodge. Come on in.
Dr. Jay Cox is with us, and Dr. Cox was not attending physician. What would be the appropriate term?
Officer of the day.
Officer of the day, Bethesda Naval Hospital. When John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated, you doing the research, the background of it. What do you think is probably the most outrageous scenario that people exploited about the assassination of Kennedy?
Well, if you look at the literature, there are about 2,000 books written about the assassination, books and articles, and most of them deal in conspiracy because the conspiracy sells. But if you look at it, for instance, one fascinating story was that the surgery was done on the body in the plane on the way back to Bethesda, whereas that casket was sealed in Parkland Hospital in Dallas and was never opened till it got to
you.
Yes.
It's just history in the making.
Well, another thing is that they said that Oswald, did he act alone? And the evidence shows after all these 61 years now that there never was any type of a helper or anything else, that he did it on his own. The route of the parade was published in Dallas Herald 3 days ahead of time. So Oswald noticed then that the car was coming right past the Texas School Book Depository. And I'd advise anybody, if they ever get down to Dallas, to take a good look at that. There's a museum now on the 6th floor of the School Book Depository.
Is there many days that ever go by, Doctor, that you don't think about that day that you did an autopsy on the President of the United States?
Well, there's a lot of reminders about it. Actually seeing him lying there on the table and doing the autopsy, it was pretty sad. There were some onlookers that were in the viewing area, but for the most part, it was a very somber experience.
I'm in awe of what you went through with the assassination of the president, just knowing how I felt. And then knowing that you were there to experience and say, yes, the president is dead.
Yes. And the wounds were probably the first shot is actually missed. Oswald got off 3 shots.
Oh,
the first shot missed.
Okay.
His second shot was the one that came through the back, through the throat, went on, started to tumble, hit Conley in the back, went through his chest, broke some ribs, and now it was going backwards, but it went through his wrist, broke his wrist in 2 places, and lodged in his thigh. And that was the so-called pristine bullet, because it wasn't pristine, it was slightly flattened, but that's one that lodged in Conley's thigh and had fallen out later.
And then you mentioned the third one.
The third one was the death shot, and that's he had plenty of time, or at least 4 seconds or so, between the second and third shot, and he had a 4-power scope on his rifle, and that made it look like Kennedy was only 25 yards away. And so he was able to line up, and that was a shot that went through the back of the head, blew out the whole right side of the head, and that was a fatal shot from the beginning. There was no chance of him surviving it. He would have survived the next shot because it did not hit the spinal cord, did not hit the carotid artery or any of the large veins. So he would have survived the initial injury.
As a Navy doctor, as a Navy man, Kennedy as a Navy man, and the President of the United States, how did you feel?
Well, it's a close kinship to any of those. But when you're with a fellow Navy man or the Marines, I served in Vietnam with the Marines, and so there's a close kinship with everybody.
It's just too much for me to comprehend in 14 minutes what you've gone through that's taken you a lifetime to really put. Have you written it all down?
I have given several talks on the subject, and but no, I've not. Anybody who would be really interested in it, the best book I've come across is a book by Gerald Posner called Case Closed. And in that, he goes through the entire history of Oswald and Kennedy, and lots of pictures in the book, and he explains a lot of the happenings that day.
We haven't talked about one of the other players who got involved, Jack Ruby.
Yes.
With the assassination of Oswald. How did that affect you, or did you have any connection with that whatsoever?
Well, no, we had no connection there.
Okay.
It was just as surprising to me as everybody else. I happened to be watching that Sunday morning when he did assassinate Oswald, but that happened by accident, really, because Jack Ruby loved the president, and he had been called by one of his dancers to needed some money. So he was on his way down to the Western Union, and he happened to see the commotion at the jail. They were going to move Oswald from the jail to another prison. And so he knew all the policemen. So he just got out of his car. He had his dog Sheila with him in the car. But he left there and went downstairs. And, on the spur of the moment, he just they got allowed to carry guns there in Texas. And he just saw him coming, pulled the gun out, and shot him. Problem is it took with taking Oswald's life like that. So many answers we don't know. But he did not have any connection whatsoever to the mafia or to any conspiracy.
Dr. J. Cox, November 22nd, 12:30 p.m., 1963. Thank you much, sir.
Bob's Beach Books in the Ocean Lake area of Lincoln City does in fact have what you'll want to read. I'm Diana Portwood, and if we happen to be out of a particular bestseller, in a day or two we'll have it back in the store waiting for you. Bob's Beach Books, so you can join the conversation.
We at La Roca are proud of our food, but don't take our word for it. Read the reviews. One person wrote, "The service was friendly and efficient." Another writes, La Roca has become one of our favorites because it's authentic Mexican food.
If you're looking for great early garden fresh produce, it's Kenny's IGA in the Bay Area of Lincoln City. 4 generations of Morgans caring for your every grocery need. All of your favorite beverages, a full deli, meat, produce, and of course, groceries. And welcome back to the Double R Show. With me is Heather Hatton, and Heather is with Chinook Winds Casino Resort. Public Relations Manager.
Yes,
right?
nailed it. Yes.
Did I get the right title?
You did.
I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of you.
Now, you've got a couple of big activities coming up December 7th.
Yes. Yeah, December 7th, Chubby Checkers.
Yep.
Everybody can do the twist with Chubby. And he's just really rocking. Like the guy, I was talking to his manager, and he is just still as young at heart as ever. And so I've seen a lot of recent videos, and it's going to be a really good show.
Now, do you know where Chubby Checker got his name?
Are you going to tell me? Because I don't know.
Chubby Checker got his name because of Fats Domino.
Really?
Is what I've been told. So you need to follow up on that and see if in fact we're right.
That might be a good question to ask our followers.
That'd be a good question.
That'd be fun to see what people come up with. And that same night, what's happening, Roger?
Oh,
Angels
the
Ball?
same night, it's Festival of the Trees,
Yes.
Angels Anonymous Ball upstairs in the convention center. 21, I think it is now, trees that we have are going to be auctioned off. We have a number of wreaths, all of the raffle items, and the program, the entertainment for this go-around, since it's the 25th anniversary of Angels Anonymous, we have Hawaiian Luau Extraordinaire. They've been at Chinook Winds before.
Yeah, they're very good. They're really good, yeah.
It's just going to be extraordinarily
I taught them
wonderful.
everything I know.
I noticed that.
I mean, they're so good.
Good that you brought your grass skirt and the whole bit.
Wait until you see my outfit. Pretty excited about it.
I'm ready.
I don't even know what I'm
Would that be something that you would have for the New Year's Eve ball?
the New Year's Eve ball is more beach, beach themed. Not so much the luau side of things, but we are pretty excited because our 30th anniversary is next year. And so, we wanted to surround it with our Better at the Beach brand. And so that's what we're going to be doing for that event. And so our tree will be similar to that. We try to theme
for the Angel Ball.
Yeah, so we try to theme our tree every year now with the theme of our anniversary.
But you've got 2 trees this year.
We have 2 spots. We just have one tree. So because we always end up spilling over into other people's areas and they don't really care for that. And so, son Phil, he always makes sure that we get what we want. But this year I'm like, let's just acknowledge that we
need more space.
Like, let's just acknowledge the fact that we need a lot of space. And so we're taking up 2 spots, and I'm pretty excited because our committee did a great job the last couple of years. They just do an incredible job. And we partner with different people. So Portland Leather out of Portland, a couple of years ago, I love their stuff. And so we called them and said, would you want to contribute? And they do now. And we have some Diamonds by the Sea stuff.
Some high-end stuff.
Some high-end, yeah, really, really good stuff. And then we have some of our vendors that we partner with that have donated. They donate every year to our cause. And so it's going to be great. I'm excited to see it.
The
I'm
one
not
tree
creative.
that I remember the most about Chinook Winds, the stepladder.
Yeah, the tool tree.
The tool tree.
The tool tree. We always, that was the Bill John years.
Yes.
We had a Halloween tree. We've had a hunting and fishing tree. We did a gold tree. That was pretty fun. So we've done some interesting ones.
So, talking about some interesting things, you're sitting in the lobby of Chinook Winds Casino Resort right now is a truck.
Yeah, it's a Chevy, and it's awesome, and it's cool. And so it's Sunset Drive. It's our big promotion for the new year, and so the big grand drawing is going to be December 29th. And so you can check everything out, all the specific details, but you got to just come and look at it. You can't touch it.
Can't touch it. Don't touch it.
Don't touch that. So, but it is in there, and we've got a lot of stuff going on at the casino. I wanted to throw in there that we've got a brand new floor bar that is being remodeled.
Oh,
it's
yes.
gorgeous.
Yes.
It should be open in the next couple days. We're hoping, before the end of the month, and that's really exciting because it's going to have more access points because right now there's one. And there's this line. And then we have a floor stage that you can see right by the escalator. We've got an announcer that is, we have a promotions host that's making announcements at night. So we're really trying to get the energy up at the casino. And so when you come in, you can hear about what's going on, hear about winners that are happening. But that floor bar, they've done such a good job on that. And I'm sure everybody's seen the siding that's going up.
I see the siding, I just don't. Oh, the siding outside.
Outside, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's going up, and they're trying to get as much as they can done before the real big weather hits. So, which
That's
we don't
good
consider
stuff.
those high winds a couple weeks ago.
No.
People are like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not 100 miles an hour. We're fine. Like, we're good here.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Now, dining venues are going to be wide open throughout the holidays as well.
Yes, always. And we generally take reservations at Chinook Seafood Grill. We don't at the buffet. We've started taking reservations at the Rogue now.
That's something new.
It is new. And so, of course, always check the website for like Christmas dinner to make sure that there's reservations at both locations. But they're starting to do that now because they sell out pretty quick at Chinook Seafood Grill. And then the buffet, if you're going to do the buffet at any time during the holidays, I always tell people, like, just show up earlier than give yourself time to eat at the time you want to eat, right? So don't show up at 11 and hope to get in by 11:05. Like, that's not going to happen. So make sure that you give yourself, at least a half an hour, 45 minutes prior to your time that you want to sit.
Now, there was on Facebook, a gentleman and his wife pitching a shrimp dinner. I was kind of wondering how that was going.
We're looking at local celebrities.
Mr.
and Mrs. Robertson.
Since you insist. And that's selling well?
Yeah, that is doing really well. And we appreciate it because we like partnering with, locals and influencers, as you will.
Oh, really?
Mr. Robertson, who shares our story and not just us, right? So yours was such a really kind of cool organic post of your beautiful bride. And I'm glad you didn't take a selfie. You know what I'm saying? No, but Pat, it was just sweet. It is. What a sweet post that was, and it told the different side of that story, which we really appreciated, and then we were able to do the actual like advertisement with you guys in it, and so but that is going well, and then that's on Thursday nights, and then we have the one on Wednesday nights at the Rogue.
It's better at the beach.
It is.
Food is always better at the beach.
So good there. The steak at the Rogue, come on, that is some of the best steak I think in town. And I'm a steak eater.
It's dinner time. Thanks, Heather, for being here.
You are welcome.
Be at Chinook Winds December 21st for a musical celebration of the holidays. It's Under the Street Lamps, hit for the holidays.
It sure won't seem like Christmas until my baby's here.
Tickets start at $45. Call 888-MAIN-ACT, go to ChinookWinds.com or the Chinook Winds box office. Under the Street Lamp hit for the holidays. December 21st at Chinook Winds, where holiday concerts are better at the beach.
So pleased that we had Dr. Jay Cox on the show today talking about John F. Kennedy, the assassination, and the story behind the story.
Right. I was going to ask you where you were and what was your moment of time there?
I was a junior in high school. I was standing in the assembly hall of Fordville High School in Fordville, North Dakota. And all of a sudden, come over the PA system that the president had been shot, and silence set in. Within a few minutes, the word came out that the president was dead. And schools shut down. The town shut down. Everything shut down. People were fixated on the television screen for about 4 to 5 days. And then to see the assassination of Oswald Lee Harvey Oswald by Jack Ruby it happening in front of you, real time, was just more than I could really handle as a junior.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking, years later, one of those big mark days that happened was the Challenger accident.
Absolutely.
And, I remember being with your son, Phil. We hadn't quite made it to school yet, and we saw it live on television, and went to school that mid-morning, and people were just in shock. It was
totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, of course, 9/11 would be
9/11 it holds way up there, and I hope we never see it again. Deck the Dock is upcoming. Deck the Dock, if you go down Southwest 51st Street, the dock behind Moe's, you'll see lots of lights and a Christmas tree on it already. Not lit.
Right, it's all
Not
prepped
lit.
up. Yeah.
It's prepped.
Yeah.
But I did notice that the Parks and Rec had put up 3 lighted Christmas trees in the Veterans Park, right underneath the flag, which I thank them for that because it's pretty spectacular. Going to be lots of lights throughout town. And if you are a business or an organization that have put up a lot of lights, send us some information about it, and we'll promote it for you.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about it, yeah. And so we can go out and see.
Absolutely. And speaking of Sea of Delights is going to be lit up as well at the community center. So it's just one of many activities that is coming up, including the Festival of the Trees that Heather Hatton was talking about, sponsored by Angels Anonymous, and tickets are sold out. We do appreciate and thank everybody that has sponsored trees, sponsored and gave gifts that were auctioned off, raffled off. Big fundraiser for Angels Anonymous.
Yeah, and viewing opens December 4th, correct, up at Chinook Winds?
Yeah.
And you can bid on trees then, and
Absolutely.
wreaths and all the other great things there.
There's a price on the tree.
Buy it now.
Buy it now.
Yeah.
If you see something you absolutely want, and I'm not going to point out any names to anybody that may want to come and do that, but there is a restaurant at the corner across the street from the Bijou Theater that always buys a tree ahead of time.
Okay.
If you want to beat her to the trees, not going to put out any names.
No.
But remember, you can buy it now.
Great.
Now, speaking of buy it now and fun things, we got a trivia item.
Right, yeah. It's time to get some trivia back on the Double R show here. And we wanted to ask folks, where is the world's shortest park trail?
Park trail.
Park trail, yeah, the world's shortest park trail. Tell us where it is. Send us an email to roger@doublershow.com. And you'll be entered into a drawing for 2 tickets to the buffet at Chinook Winds, right?
Each worth $30, so $60 worth of good food for you, your family, your friends. Boy, you can be a high roller.
Yeah, you can use it at actually any of the venues,
can.
correct?
You
Yeah,
can.
not just
You
the
can.
buffet, so yeah.
But that seafood buffet on Friday nights would be a wonderful place to use it. And it's would cover that as well. So the world's shortest park trail.
Right.
And again, they sent it to
roger@doublershow.com.
Cruise party coming up for the Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce. This is going to be an opportunity to go on board a cruise for 5 days, 4 nights. And Dr. Estelle Harlan will be leading a discussion of her book, Life and Career Transitions. So for more information about that, send me an email to always@charter.net, and we'll be more than happy to respond to that as well. Anything else your side of the table?
Nah, we're clear from here.
And again, the trivia question, the world's shortest arc trail. Where is it? And send it to Paul.
Roger at doublershow.com. Send it to Roger, not Paul. Send it to Roger at doublershow.com. Thank you.
And that will do it to the doings on the Double R Show. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, so you, your family, and friends around the world and across the street can join us on the Double R Show. For Paul, Jana, I am Double R. Have a happy day.
And a happy Thanksgiving.
You've been listening to The Double R Show. Join Roger and Paul Robertson as they explore everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, produced by Always Productions and hosted by Roger Robertson. Have a story? Email contact@alwaysproductions.com or call 458-201-3039. For The Double R Show, I'm Jana Grawn.